Hey everybody, welcome back to another midweek episode. So a while back I was at a concert and it was just a guy on the stage with a guitar and his, what he called a band in a box. It was a little black box with pedals on it that he could set to different loops to add a fuller band sound in the background. And so he's playing through his set of songs and there were moments where it was just hard and awkward because he would start a song, but the loop wouldn't quite be synced up correctly. And so he'd just stop and retune it and start over again. Or he'd start singing a song and then forget some of the lyrics. I know, tough to listen to. And in the midst of this awkwardness, he would apologize and he would deflect and make some sort of humorous comment about, if you want a perfect recording of my songs, just go over to the merch table after the concert and buy a CD. And then he said, in fact, I'm kind of curious what my music sounds like when it's perfectly recorded. He said, because whenever I sing it in front of an audience, there's always something that goes awry. And I found myself that night as I listened to the concert with these two competing thoughts stirring in my heart. On the one hand, I was critical. Every time he messed up, every time he made a mistake, it bothered me. And I found myself thinking, and this guy is a nationally known recording artist? What a wash up. Okay, so I didn't say that to anybody else, but that's what was stirring in my own heart. You see, one of my struggles is that I'm a perfectionist. I want everything to be perfect, to be spot on. I mean, even when it comes to these video recordings, I want it to be right. And this is not only an issue for me and what my expectations are of myself, but it also creeps in when it comes to the expectations that I have of others. I want that perfect recording. And what I continue to learn is that's an unrealistic expectation. And Jesus, in fact, comes to crush those expectations of perfectionism. This is what he combats with the religious leaders. This is what he calls them out for in Matthew chapter 23. He says, you tie up all of these heavy burdens on people. You place all of these expectations of the law upon them. And in the end, it crushes them. They can't carry that weight. So I found myself being critical that evening. But then there was another thought stirring in my heart. This one not motivated by the law, but moved by the gospel. I found myself feeling a level of compassion as well. As I watched this dude on the stage, I realized that he was giving us a window into his heart, into his day-to-day relationship with Jesus, where he was walking that out imperfectly. Just like you and I are as well. And something beautiful happened throughout the concert. As I leaned in, he was able to lead my heart into a place of worship. It took a while, but eventually I got there. Because for him, it wasn't about leaning on his own strength. It was about leaning on the Lord. And it reminded me of the words of the Apostle Paul in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, that God's power is made perfect in our weakness. Or Paul's words from Galatians chapter 2, verse 20. I've been crucified with Christ, and I no longer live, but Christ now lives in me. It's his perfectionism, not mine. And so in the midst of the imperfect recordings of life, Jesus perfectly does his work. That's what the Apostle Paul is talking about. So for those of you who are tuning in, you who struggle with perfectionism yourselves, let me just remind you, nobody's perfect. It doesn't mean we try to make mistakes. No, we want to get it right, but we won't always get it right. People won't always sing on pitch. People will stutter. People will slip up. They won't always get the words right. But when they mess up, rather than being critical, show compassion. Just let it go. Release them from the burden of perfectionism and give it to Jesus. Because he's the one who's perfect. And in the midst of the imperfect recordings of our life, that's when he perfectly does his work. So thanks for joining me today. I'll see you again next time.